Good evening, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and call the City Commission meeting to order tonight on this December 12th. As we get started tonight, I'm going to ask you to join me for a moment of silence before we move to Pledge of Allegiance, and then we will work through our agenda that's before us tonight. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, next we will have roll call.
Commissioner Robbins.
Present.
Commissioner Perdue.
Present.
Commissioner Isasi.
Present.
Commissioner O'Connor.
Present.
Mayor Bliss.
Yes, and Commissioners, can I get a motion to excuse Commissioner Moody and Commissioner Knight?
So moved.
Support.
All right, moved and supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, it carries. All right, and before getting to our agenda items, I do want to let you know that we do have an interpreter here tonight. So if you need assistance with Spanish interpreting, you can come up and ask for that. And I'll invite our interpreter to come up so that you know who she is. Hi.
Hello, my name is Yolanda and I am here to interpret for the Spanish language. Mi nombre es Yolanda. Yo estoy aquí para interpretar en el lenguaje español.
Thank you. All right, so tonight we have a number of action items and we have two opportunities for public comment. The very first one is public comment on agenda items. So these are items that we're actually voting on tonight. So we have a whole list of items that we talked about in one of our standing committee meetings. If you're here tonight to speak on an agenda item, I'm going to ask you to come up to this podium here. You can say your name, the city that you live in. We'll give you up to 3 minutes to speak. And for this first opportunity for public comment, we ask that you be really explicit about what agenda item you are speaking about. So if it was Committee of the Whole or Fiscal Committee, please let us know what that is. So I'll open up first public comment period. If you are here to speak on anything else outside of our agenda items, I'm going to ask you to stay put and I'll open up that public comment period towards the end of the meeting once we get through the business items. So is anyone here to speak on agenda items tonight?
Good evening, Lucas First Ward. I'd like to address the agenda and the minutes before you vote to approve the minutes. First, I want to say it's nice to be back here participating in government by and for the people. In early October, I took a step back upon the passing of my dad, and I really didn't poke my head up much, except for some critical engagements on GRPS issues, the weird fight about zoo parking, and to come and try to call for the elimination or at least control of 131 expansion here downtown. But I was glad to see that you guys made some strides in agenda improvement. It's a better platform than it used to be. And of course, there's room for improvement, but I noticed that's pretty cool. Very good. In this agenda is your approval of the minutes. You've heard it before, but I'm going to say it again. You should include in your minutes some tally or recognition of public comment topics. When I went back and watched the last couple of meetings, you had large numbers of speakers on the issues of the war in Gaza, a big turnout from Plaza Towers residents with amphitheater concerns, and all of those groups deserve to have their presence and numbers recorded in the minutes. Other city meetings do this. Other meetings summarize or tally what's been spoken. These meetings don't, and the people deserve that as a matter of record. Those two groups I cited are a great example of why this is only fair. I'm in alignment with those that are tired of giving a free pass to Israel, but I'm not sure I agree with the hand-wringing being heard from Plaza Towers. But all who speak here deserve to have recognition of their input permanently documented somewhere other than YouTube. Please consider that as a great new thing you could change in 2024. And again, it's nice to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for your comments. All right, others wish to be heard on agenda items?
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Kara Wood, First Ward resident, 15-year resident of the Plaza Towers building. Proud resident of downtown, and I live there for the sights and sounds of our great city. And I'm also the Executive Director of Grand Action 2.0, the organization that has association with Committee of the Whole items 6, 7, and 8 today. I appreciated the thoughtful discussion amongst the commissioners this morning and the good questions that were being asked about the items specifically. Grand Action has worked over the last 25 years to develop public-private partnerships in our city that have delivered operationally sustainable and successful projects like the DeVos Place, Van Andel Arena, and the Downtown Market. These have enhanced the vibrancy of a growing region, and I can't imagine what our city would be like without them. Today, Grand Action 2.0 is eager to build on that momentum in the development of 2 catalyst projects that are called out in the 2017 CSL Destination Asset Study that cited investments needed over the next 10 years in our region to ensure that we compete at a very high level. Based on an economic impact analysis, the amphitheater and soccer stadium projects are expected to add over $1 billion of new economic impact and more than 950 construction and operational jobs to our city over the next 30 years, resulting in wage earnings of over $16 million and almost half a million new visitors to these venues each year. More importantly, these projects also have a very important public benefit. $10 million of contribution toward the Affordable Housing Fund will result, including essential riverfront trail connections in our region, and also connections that are important to our near neighborhoods and serving as a catalyst for new commercial and housing development opportunities. The actions being considered by the Commission today are important to support and allow Grand Action to continue the work necessary that these public-private partnerships will execute in terms of allowing us to continue to plan, organize, and fundraise to deliver these projects and continue our work together as partners. I appreciate the work of all the staff that we've spent time with in the many city departments, in the executive office as well, and the commissioners' involvement and engagement in these projects that are so important to our future. And the support from the City Commission will ensure that these public-private partnerships will have the support necessary to continue the further planning and fundraising efforts needed to secure these projects in our great city. So I look forward to continuing the work. We have a lot of work yet to do on these, but thank you for your contributions and engagement, and we look forward to continued partnership together. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, others who wish to be heard on agenda items only?
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Stephanie Gingrich. I live on Saginaw Road in the 3rd Ward. And on behalf of the General Partner for Motown Square Development, I'd like to thank you for your support, continued support of affordable housing opportunities in the city. Tonight's agenda item for the alley vacation, which is D11, is a crucial next step for our project to move towards building 54 new affordable assisted living units in Southtown. We're really excited about the future of this project and the impact it's going to have on the community, and we are looking forward to giving you some great progress reports in the upcoming months. So thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, others who wish to be heard on agenda items tonight?
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, and staff. My name is Monica Steinley-App, and I am a resident of the 2nd Ward, and I work in the 1st Ward. I'm also here representing Rockford Construction. I also work and support efforts in the affordable housing industry as well as the current board chair of the Grand Rapids Housing Commission. Wanted to address items from Committee of the Whole, particularly 6, 7, and 8. And want to, number one, just first and foremost, thank you for the city's continued support and efforts for projects such as this, which are major catalytic projects and efforts in our community. We know that it takes so much effort on behalf of public-private partnerships to make projects like this happen. And I know firsthand how difficult it is to make some of this work together. So thank you for your continued support, and want to support these projects specifically and really believe in the true power of pulling these together with exponentially what that can do for for additional housing, adding thousands of additional housing units, adding hundreds of new jobs, adding so many opportunities for additional visitors to our area, supporting just exponential economic growth for our community, and knowing that we are all here in support of the continued growth and efforts of not only our residents, but introducing others to the city of Grand Rapids as well, and just appreciate, again, your continued support for those projects moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Good evening, Commissioners, Mayor, Manager Washington. I'm Birgit Close. I am a 20-year resident of the Second Ward. I am also the chair of the Design and Building Committee for the Amphitheater Committee. I'm a member of Grand Action's Executive Board, and I'm the vice chair of the Convention Arena Authority. And prior to all that, I spent 40 years in economic development in the city of Grand Rapids, Kent County, in West Michigan. And I'm here today to speak on the agenda items 6, 7, and 8. I've been a part of Grand Action 1 and 2 for over 30 years now, and was very much part of the creation of our arena, the convention center, our market, et cetera. And those 3 projects were catalytic and game-changing in our city 30 years ago. They really changed the outlook for Grand Rapids. They were catalytic in that they brought about a lot of other development in the areas that they touched. They brought entertainment to the community that we've really never had. And we believe that the 2 projects that we're discussing tonight, the amphitheater and the soccer stadium, will continue to have that kind of a catalytic and game-changing response from our community, but also others around the state and the region. It is also economic development of placemaking, right? Today, placemaking is an important part of any economic development strategy to attract, retain talent and companies. And so from that standpoint, I hope that you can support those projects. Grand Action appreciates deeply the relationship that we've all had with the city and the county, from the staff, from the leadership on down. And we want to continue that collaboration as we go forward to make those 2 catalytic projects happen with your help. Private-public partnerships is really what makes the city hum, and I've been a great part of it, and I've appreciated all of that you have done over the years to make the city what it is today in collaboration with the private sector. So thank you for your support, and I look forward to working with you in my various roles on the amphitheater and the soccer stadium. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Good to see you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Good evening, City Manager and City Commissioner. My name is Guillermo Cisneros. I am the President and CEO of the West Michigan Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I'm also an Executive Board member of Grand Action 2.0, and I'm the Vice Chair of the Soccer Stadium Building and Design Committee. And I'm also a Third Ward resident of the City of Grand Rapids. So first of all, I just want to thank you for all the support that you have given to the amphitheater and the soccer stadium. As my colleagues have mentioned, these projects are amazing assets for this community. And I firmly believe that the soccer stadium will be a catalyst for unity in this community. Being a Latino and coming from Mexico, which is a country where, we have a large base of soccer fans, just brings me a lot of joy and a lot of hope to be able to have an asset of this magnitude in the city of Grand Rapids. Also, I want to share that 31% of the fan base in Grand Rapids, are Latinos, soccer base fans, and the Latino community is one of the fastest growing population in this region. By 2045, the Latino community is going to grow 130%. So as a Latino, I see my beautiful community coming to downtown Grand Rapids, not just to the games, but also to enjoy the beautiful downtown we have, to enjoy our restaurants and everything that this beautiful city has to offer. So I am very thankful for you, for all of your support for these projects, and I look forward to continue to working with you in the years to come. So thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
friends. Mark from Grand Rapids. I too want to speak about the Grand Action projects. In particular, this proposed soccer stadium. They didn't get into any details of how the stadium is going to be built and the location and the design and everything. How much seating is it going to have? Is it going to be 10,000, 20,000, somewhere around there? Are there going to be any suites? Are there going to be any amenities, social zone, social gatherings, places inside the stadium? That is what I'm concerned about, as well as the safety surrounding all the soccer games. You know, I'm not a soccer fan, but I have seen a lot of incidents regarding soccer worldwide. Situations like referees killed at a match because of a bad call during the game. Flares, blood, urine. That's not good. That is something you have to think about. Because hooliganism in soccer is a big problem. Can't have that here. Now, as far as what I want to see is the final renderings of the stadium plan. Because if it doesn't have the amenities that modern stadiums have today, that's a problem. It can't be bare bones. Either you go for the gusto or don't go at all. So you better think about this and make sure everything is down to the T. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. All right, others wish to be heard?
Good evening, Mayor Bliss, members of the City Commission. My name is Travis Alden, and while I am not a resident of the city of Grand Rapids, I am here representing the Right Place, which, as you know, is just a couple blocks away here in downtown. I'm here to express our organization's support of the ongoing efforts of Grand Action 2.0 and the city's public-private collaboration with their team. I'll echo what numerous folks have already said tonight about the planned amphitheater and soccer stadium, and they will have a dramatic positive effect on our community's sense of place and vibrancy, and not just for the city, but for all of West Michigan. 2 years ago, we identified these two projects as part of our transformational 12 initiatives, 12 large-scale projects that we believe will begin a new chapter for the city and our region. We also know that, as with many important things in life, timing is of the essence. At the Right Place, we often say about development that nothing can kill a project quicker than time and delays. And so to that point, we want to commend the city for their efforts to expedite their move off of 201 Market to make way for the amphitheater. The city has hundreds of projects going on throughout the city right now, and we are very appreciative of your focus on this effort. We see time and again the data that shows that Greater Grand Rapids is the growth hub for the entire state of Michigan. This is where the momentum is. This is where the investment and where the energy is happening. And if we want to continue this trajectory of prosperity in West Michigan and further become the powerhouse of the state, we must continually invest in groundbreaking catalytic projects like this. In closing, the Right Place thanks the City of Grand Rapids for your vision and support of these transformational projects. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, others who wish to be heard on agenda items?
Good evening, Mayor, Mr. Washington, and commissioners and staff. Again, my name is Daniel Scott, 35-year resident of Grand Rapids. And most importantly, my real identity is I'm a follower of the Lord Jesus Christ. Issues, Committee on the Whole. First of all, items number 1 and 2. As I've said many times before, I just want to voice my disapproval of more licensing for places to help people get drunk. Scripture says, woe to them that put alcohol to the lips of another. You will be held responsible for that. And I guess it goes along with Grand Rapids being called the beer city. A moniker we should not be proud of. Again, I've been ministering in the inner city for over 40 years, Hartside specifically. And just take a walk, or on the west side where I live, and you can see the results. Many of the homeless are addicted to alcohol. And again, with all this licensing, you're just making it more available. And then number 2, Resolution 5 about the water systems. Again, I'd like to warn you that the murder pill, RU-486, is contaminating our water. And 425 East Cherry continues to dispense, and all the pharmacies and hospitals in the area dispense these pills. Not only is it killing the babies, it's now killing the mothers. And as all pharmaceuticals usually end up in the water system, this will be a growing problem. And I'm here to warn you about that as well. Thank you.
All right. Others wish to be heard?
Hello, my name is Shannon Tanis, and I'm from the First Ward. I would like to speak on the Committee on Appointments, number 2, the resolution to remove Maurice Townsend from the Affordable Housing Fund Board, and also the Committee of Whole 678 for the stadium. I have been exercising my God consciousness on this journey, and I just want to express and witness the fact about just a little over a month ago, I went to a hearing on discrimination against housing for the Michigan Civil Rights Commission, and God connected me with a HUD program compliance federal employee, and to say the least, he was not happy. And so the ripple effects of that you should be hearing about. And so I agree about this removal from the Affordable Housing Fund Board. I'm also concerned about the stadium, the alcohol, social gathering places for alcoholism. This city is not accommodated for families. When I see reports in the news about 10 schools closing in Grand Rapids because of enrollment, your focus is not for families or for the sustainability of their economical, equitable growth in the city. We got over 3,000 units that are needed for homelessness. We have 1,450 illegal, sorry, not illegal, but immigrants that are going to be relocated here by 2024 per the county commissioners. So my question is, with all these things, safety, not being able to accommodate, not adequate convenience of food, sustainability here, and you're failing on the housing aspect in many aspects, which I've asked you to engage me on and haven't got proper engagement on. I don't know what more to say. You know, I see the work that the city does, but at the same time, it's selective in who you want to engage and what you want to acknowledge. And we'll get down to the bottom of this. If we can take any indication from Green Charter Township that just on December 6th changed the locks on their town hall and replaced all of their board members because they wanted to bring a corporation from China into that township, and they said no way. Well, that's a great example for the people to be able to remove their political officials from their office. So thank you.
All right, thank you. I'm going to close that public comment period, and we'll move to approval of the minutes. Commissioners, these are approval of our minutes from our last meeting, which took place on December 5th. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support.
All right, moved and supported. Commissioners, any questions or comments? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, it carries. All right, next that will take us to petitions and communications.
First one is communication received from Rob Metzger regarding new streetlights.
That's received and filed.
2 communications received regarding water rates.
That is received and filed.
Communication received from Zach Lowe's expressing support for the proposed amphitheater.
That is received and filed.
Another communication received from Rob Metzger regarding street lighting.
That's received and filed.
Communication received from Kara Peltier expressing support for the Grand Action 2.0 projects.
That is received and filed.
Communication received from Paul Mayhew regarding bathrooms for public use.
And that is also received and filed. All right, next that will take us to reports of city officers and commissioners. We have 3 items tonight.
City clerk submitted the mayor's 2024 standing committees and other commissioner appointments report.
That's received and filed.
Comptroller's report for the period of November 22, 2023 through November 28, 2023 in the amount of $3,018,855.58.
That's received and filed.
And finally, treasurer's report for the period of November 21, 2023 through November 28, 2023.
And that is also received and filed. All right, next that will take us to our consent agenda. So our consent agenda are items that we voted on earlier today in one of our standing committee meetings where there was a unanimous vote. So tonight with one voice vote, we'll adopt those items. Commissioners, can I get a motion for the consent agenda?
So moved.
Support.
All right, moved and supported. Commissioners, any additional questions or comments? All right, seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. All right, Commissioners, we will then go on to ordinances to be adopted, and we have one ordinance before us tonight.
It's an ordinance amending Section 1 of the Budget Ordinance 2023-15 for fiscal year 2024, Amendment Number 6.
So moved.
Support.
All right, moved and supported. Commissioner O'Connor from our Fiscal Committee, you want to tell us about this item?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. First item is a grant from the Bureau of Justice. It's a reimbursement grant to purchase body-worn vests for police officers. Second item is a grant that we share with our partners in Wyoming. It's from it reimburses overtime as it relates to DUI, seatbelt, and speed enforcement. Third item is an allocation of $1.9 million to deal with our vital streets and to continue. It's some state revenue that comes in that we use to fund street repair and replacement. Item 4 is an expansion of the public museum, which we've been hearing a lot about, nearly $5 million to support the redevelopment of the museum. Item 5 is the construction of a pumping station at Kalamazoo and 60th that will support one of our partner water communities that buys water from the city's water department. Item 6 is expenditure to the engineering department for $9 million for the remodel of Lion Square. Item 7 is a $2.5 million grant for the Michigan Land Bank Authority that will help us remove blighted properties in Grand Rapids. And the final item is a transfer from our pilot funds, which we talked about at our last meeting. This is the budget companion budget item for $114,000 that will go into the Affordable Housing Fund to help support positive affordable housing outcomes in Grand Rapids.
Great, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioners, any questions or comments? All right, this is a roll call vote tonight.
Commissioner Purdue.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Connor.
Yes.
Commissioner Asasi.
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins.
Yes.
Mayor Bliss.
Yes, it carries. And Commissioners, can I get a motion to give this immediate effect?
So moved.
Support.
All right, moved and supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. All right, that will, Commissioners, we don't have any scheduled public hearings tonight, so that will take us to our final opportunity for public comment. So this is an opportunity for you to be heard on any other item. A couple things, you can come up here. We ask again that you share your name, the city that you live in. You'll be given up to 3 minutes to speak. We do ask that you take a look at our meeting procedures over there on the wall. We want to make sure that this is a place where everyone can be heard by this elected body, so we ask that you direct your comments to us. If you have questions, this isn't an opportunity for us to answer those. It's an opportunity for us to listen to your comments. And then also we ask that you refrain from a number of things. So we ask you not to clap or to cheer or boo or use profanity or vulgar language in your comments. If you do, I will go ahead and shut the microphone off. So,
Keep the doorway clear.
oh, thank you. Fire Chief is in the back reminding me. Also, please keep the doorway clear. We need to make sure that we have a safe exit in case there's an emergency. And again, you can line up or you can stay seated until the line gets smaller, and then you're welcome to come up. So I'll go ahead and open up this last opportunity for public comment tonight. And you can get started. Hi, welcome.
Good evening. Drosky, 913 Koval. I'm here for the wrongful violation issued by the Planning Department. First is Kristen Turkelson proposed a resolution in August prior to the wrongful violation. This proposed resolution was a pictorial of a sod-cut driveway that she wanted us to consider. We denied because there was no violation issued according to your written law. The pictorial that she supplied was a pictorial that is in a neighboring municipality. This pictorial that the neighboring municipality uses is also short, sweet, clearly defined, unambiguous, and very detailed. This neighboring municipality is Grand Haven. Ms. Turkelson came from Grand Haven Planning to Grand Rapids Planning in 2013, did she not? She stated to me in 2013, Grand Rapids City initiated a permit process because of an uptick in complaints. Well, according to FOIA, there are no uptick in residential complaints for driveway improvements. So that is not valid. We have been arbitrarily, capriciously discriminated against with our situation, and state and city governments have a big playground to have many playground rules, but one rule that cannot be violated is somebody's civil liberties and due process, which is what is going on. What do I mean by that? My file is growing thicker by the day with pictures, with permits that have been issued and approved, with concrete that is wider than the garage. My folders are growing thicker by the day with pictures and permits that have been issued and permitted, with parking pads that are wider than the garage. I have pictures and permits that have been issued and permitted with concrete that extends behind the front facade. Your ordinance specifically speaks against concrete shall not extend behind the front facade. And there are many in your planning department that need to go back to school to learn what the definition of behind means. I'm here to say that I have been selected to be an example by your planning department, and they have chose the right person. I am willing to take on to disclose the bad actors and the bad script that is before the residents of this city. So I'm standing as an example, and I will fight. My evidence is getting thicker, and I will get louder, because we have done nothing wrong. They want to represent us as an example, and I will show you cannot violate a citizen's rights. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Lucas again. Didn't move in the last 20 minutes, still First Ward. I came here in the spirit of appreciation. We've got plenty to debate, but lots of good stuff happened in 2023. Those small, progressive steps have been made, like clearing some hurdles, preventing common sense housing solutions. The dash route vastly improved. You're implementing early voting at the will of the people, much to the chagrin of the MAGA cult. And even the Planning Commission recently managed to stand up to the robber barons of Corewell Health and sent them back to the drawing board in Monroe North. I left a lot out. You got a long way to go, but you're moving the needle toward transparency and better communication. This year, I've enjoyed some good conversations with Chief Brown, Chief Winstrom, Mayor Bliss. I made post-election peace with Mr. Robbins, moved beyond my feud with Mr. O'Connor. I've continued to find Grand Rapids to be a place where people who disagree greatly on some big issues can figure out how to have conversations, sometimes over a sinful beer or several. This year, I met with more than a few members of the privileged elite to have frank discussions about the diversity of colors and creeds they otherwise ignore if not highlighted by loudmouths that happen to look like them and sometimes cosplay like them when the need arises. You've shown much more willingness to address things you hear from us. You've done a pretty good job explaining things to the public when pressed. You've done more than your fair share of remedial civics education, weathering the fallout of years of right-wing destruction of civics in schools and rampant short attention span misinformation from social media. But we're still looking for leaders with true guts. Lately, the call for you to support a ceasefire in Gaza is an example of how, while you don't control policy and the federal flows of tax money, you are empowered to do more. Pass resolutions, write open letters, publish op-eds, take a true stand. Look, I personally don't see the point in mass emailing you to act on things you can't change while leaving out federal office holders and the governor from such calls to action. Sometimes passion outweighs logic in this room, but you have highlighted things like your human rights ordinance. So speak on that. Don't just quietly make remarks here. Make it a point to make gutsy moves. I think that's what people are looking for. 'Tis the season. Go outside this room and call for humanity and peace. You are inching toward real guts. I'm going to always cheer you on and defend you if you choose that path. Again, thank you for all the positives on balance. And I can bet that you'll see me next year to lean in on all the work we got to do together to continue to make Grand Rapids one of the best cities in America, if not the world. So merry, happy everything, y'all.
All right. Thank you, Lucas. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hi, my name is Diana, and I live in Grand Rapids. So I would first like to second everything this gentleman just said. I think he makes a really great point. So I came to this meeting on November 14th after sending letters requesting that you all pass a ceasefire resolution. The answer that we were met with at the end of the meeting was essentially, in my opinion, that was something that you felt that you could not do. We were placated with words like, invest in self-care, don't get so upset, which doesn't really feel like a great action from our city leaders. So I'm coming again to ask again a very simple question. Please prepare and pass a resolution calling for immediate ceasefire in Gaza. I'm asking every single one of you to think about that, to consider it, and to make it the statement that Grand Rapids does put out. Another point that was made during that meeting was that it's not something that you all can do. Well, I'm here to tell you that same night, both the city of Dearborn Heights passed a resolution. Since then, Hamtramck, Ypsilanti, Detroit have all passed these resolutions. While they might be symbolic in nature, that's what we're asking for here. We need that symbolism from our local government because we can't get the word through to our federal leaders, to even our state leaders. They're not listening. So you are our first stop, and we're asking you to be our voice in that way. Ann Arbor, Kalamazoo are also working on those resolutions. So I ask each and every one of you again to consider that you do have the power to do that, and you have the power to make a statement and to affect the residents of your city.
All right, others wish to be heard?
Hello, my name is Jessica Powell. I'm a lifelong resident of Grand Rapids. I'm ashamed of my local's government inaction to call for a permanent ceasefire in Palestine. Detroit, Dearborn Heights, Hamtramck, and Ypsilanti have all called for a ceasefire. I ask that you make a public statement today, and call for a permanent ceasefire in Palestine. I ask that you make a statement that you do not support this genocide and that you call for the end of the occupation and apartheid in Palestine. I'm also asking that you divest our tax dollars from going to Israel's apartheid and genocide. Do any of you have any children, nieces, nephews? Can you take a moment to picture their face? Can you imagine for a moment what it would be like for these children to be bombed? Searching frantically through the rubble for them? pulling off rubble from their bodies, finding them dead, or running to the hospital with them in your arms, pleading for life-saving measures, laying them injured on the hospital floor because there are no beds, watching their leg or arm being amputated without anesthesia because there's no further medical services and they just need to save your child's life. If this can happen in Palestine, this can happen here. Every 10 minutes, a child dies in Gaza. Per Euromed Human Rights Monitor, they have estimated that so far, 10,000 children have been killed in this genocide. This is not counting the countless life-changing sustained injuries or the countless orphans this genocide has created. Your allegiance to Israel approves the bombing of innocent people, families, children, pets, animals, and the earth. Bombing children, killing children, and bombing people makes us all feel unsafe. It should make you feel unsafe too. Not only are children being bombed, killed, and maimed for life, they are being starved. What kind of people sit by and let this happen? What kind of people sit by and don't speak out against this? Why are you supporting this genocide? Why does our government pledge their allegiance to Israel despite their countless war crimes? There is no safe place in Gaza for anyone. Nowhere is safe. And there is a lack of access to basic necessities such as food, water, and electricity. How can you be on board with this genocide? It's time for you to say no to these ruthless, indiscriminate killings. We don't want our tax dollars funding this genocide. Free Palestine and ceasefire now.
All right, others wish to be heard?
Good evening, Eric Brown, lifelong resident, also the president and CEO of the Urban League. Just want to stand here and say that the Urban League is in support of all the great economic development things that are going on with the various plans for soccer stadiums and amphitheaters and things like that. Just want to stand before you guys to say that we're looking forward to continue to working with the city and other stakeholders, Grand Action, the county, other private partners, private and public partnerships to ensure that those that have been historically left behind, those disadvantaged populations, African Americans, Latinos, and others that have been historically left behind, are not left behind this time, but we're included in this groundswell or this economic boom that's coming down. So we look forward to continuing to work with you guys to make sure that we have supplier diversity representative of what the city's goals are as it relates to equitable economic development and the River Equity Network and the other organizations like that, as well as workforce participation. We want to make sure that there is participation and inclusion throughout. As it's been said, it's made the same comments over at the county commission meeting a couple weeks ago. But we want to make sure that we are included and that we're not left behind this time. These are just the first of a couple projects coming down, and as we'll continue to see cranes for decades, or maybe not decades, I don't want to exaggerate, but for a very long time. We want to make sure that this is an opportunity for us to trend in the right direction and make sure that we are in absolutely a place that is where everybody can thrive and prosper. Nobody gets left behind, that we can retain and attract the talent that we need to have here because we have a culture that is working for everybody from an economic standpoint. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Good evening. My name is Aya, and I'm a Palestinian American lifelong resident of Grand Rapids. I actually go to school right up this hill at Michigan State College of Human Medicine, and today I'm not only speaking on the behalf of the Palestinians, but also on the behalf of medical students and healthcare professionals who are appalled by the deafening silence of our city and community leaders regarding the genocide that's taking place against the Palestinian people. At this point, it's impossible to turn a blind eye to the striking numbers of the killing of the civilians. As of today, over 17,000 people have been killed, 8,000 of them being children, and this number has nearly tripled since the last time we were here a month ago. More than 800 families have been wiped completely off the registry. These are children and parents, people with dreams and hopes. Their entire lifelong of the families have been completely wiped off. In terms of healthcare, 283 healthcare facilities have been attacked, and over 200 people from the healthcare system have been killed. This includes over 100 ambulances that are now not functioning in 24 hospitals that have been bombed. Gaza's biggest hospital, Al-Shifa Hospital, has been bombed. Al-Ahli Hospital, bombed. Al-Quds Hospital, bombed. Gaza's only eye care center, bombed. Gaza's only mental health hospital, bombed. Aside from like the destruction of the medical facilities, we're also seeing like an increase in the number of infections and a spread of like really bad diseases that are going on due to the worsening of the situations. The UN Human Rights Office and Human Rights Watch have raised serious concerns regarding the violations of humanitarian law. At this point, calling for a ceasefire is not a political decision. It's a medical emergency. I urge the Grand Rapids City Commission to call for a resolution and follow suit with Detroit and other cities who have taken the step to ensure the safety of the people in Palestine and to stop this genocide. And as a message for Mayor Bliss, as an undergraduate student in Grand Valley, I attended multiple fireside chats that you have hosted at Grand Valley. And at many of them, you commented on leadership and what it takes to stand up and do what's right. And us students, we look up to you, and we are hoping that you show us that your words truly come out from leadership and from the position and not only the title that you hold. Thank you guys all.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. All right, others wish to be heard?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Patul. I'm a resident of Grand Rapids. Just a little under a month ago, I was standing before you and I asked for two things. Number one, to pass a ceasefire, or pass a resolution calling for a ceasefire in Gaza and the West Bank. And the second one is to contact our senators and representatives to demand back the tax money that leaves Grand Rapids and to, instead of funding Israel's current genocide of Gaza, to invest it in this community, in this city, and make it the amazing city that it is. And I'm here again to ask you today to, what has happened since a month ago. When we came and we appealed to you guys and we asked you, we were told to make sure our mental health was taken care of, that there wasn't anything you can do. Meanwhile, at the same time, we had Dearborn Heights coming out with resolutions calling for a ceasefire. And today marks the 67th day of continued aggression on Gaza. The official death toll has reached 18,412 people. They aren't just numbers, they are people. They are all human beings. They had lives, they had dreams, they had hopes for the future, for everything. Think of that number, it's a large number. And so while we came to ask for you to stand in solidarity for a ceasefire and to use our tax to invest in this community instead, meanwhile, again, our friends and fellow Michiganders in Dearborn Heights, Hamtramck, Ypsilanti, and Detroit have come out with resolutions calling for a ceasefire. And there's currently ongoing efforts in Ann Arbor and Kalamazoo as well to pass resolutions there. So I would like to come here again and ask to pass a resolution standing in solidarity with these other cities. Let's be that great state of Michigan. Let's show them that every city came out and is standing in solidarity. You might think that maybe that side, the eastern side of Michigan, has more of an Arab population, but there's actually a good amount of Palestinians here, not just Arabs, specifically Palestinians. A lot of them in the past 67 days have experienced multiple acts of racism or comments here or there. Comments such as go back home or someone flipping them off, sometimes even with their kids with them. Imagine someone doing that to you in front of your own kids. So this resolution isn't just to say we're picking a side. It's saying that we're standing for humanity. We're standing for justice. And also, if something were to happen to us here, we would expect that from other people too. That we constantly advocate for justice, for fairness, and let's call it what it is. It's a genocide that's happening in Gaza. It's not Israel self-defense. Self-defense doesn't apply when you're breaking countless international laws, not just casual stuff like that, using weapons, illegal weapons like white phosphorus. Those are all very well known. So again, I'm here to ask you, let's stand in solidarity with the other cities in Michigan. Show the people here that you care about your Palestinian citizens, not just Palestinians, but all your citizens. And let's do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hi, my name's Daphne, and I've only lived in Grand Rapids about a year, maybe a year and a half. I moved from the southeast of Michigan. I'm here today to ask you to pass a resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. I'm waiting to see the city actually take a stance and prove that it deserves to be a big city in Michigan, that it deserves to be up there with Dearborn Heights, Hamtramck, Gibson, Detroit, Dearborn, the areas I've grown up near. And I can't help but wonder how it's easy to condemn things that have already happened. It's super easy to condemn slavery and women's suffrage and gay rights when it is more popular now to support them. But you are now proving to yourselves what you would have done during that time. Would you have been silent, or would you have actually stood up and stood for what's right? Genocide is never justifiable. It is not appropriate response to what's been happening to a 75-year-long occupation funded by the United States. I have seen the math done for how much good we could do to the city if we stopped sending our tax dollars across seas and not helping our own people. The amount of housing we could provide, health care, tuition, the amount of good we could do for our own people, or even just sending it back to Gaza and letting them rebuild what has been destroyed and leveled to the ground. I truly do wonder what you all say you would have done during other human crises in the past. It's easy to condemn the Holocaust. Of course it's wrong. They're killing innocent people. But you can't do that now? You're not able to say when you've watched out history, that was wrong, that was wrong. Now it's a gray issue? It's too hard to say. It's time to actually stand up and put your money where your mouth is. And I do wonder if you have children or grandchildren or great-grandchildren. When Palestine is free and they learn about the difficulties and the genocide in school and they come back and they ask you, what was it like? What did you do? Are you going to lie through your teeth to avoid what you actually did, which was be silent? Will you lie to them and say, of course I fought. Of course I fought for freedom. That's what we stand for as a nation. I learned in school we stand for life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, and I thought we really did. And year after year, I'm taught we don't. I can't count on my nation, I can't count on my state, and I'm starting to realize I can't count on my city. That I moved here to experience life, and I was very happy originally, until I learned that you guys can't even speak up. Hope you guys have a nice night.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard? I have some letters for you all. I'm not sure how to submit them, I guess.
You can give them to me after you're done speaking.
Okay, cool. All right, my name is Kay. I am a Grand Rapids resident, and I am here to speak towards the harmful Grand Rapids ordinances that went into effect this year. Number 2023-29, section 9.108, and number 2023-30, section 9.136. So I'm here today not just as a representative of the Community-Owned Safety Coalition of Grand Rapids, but also as a steadfast advocate for the basic human rights of all residents of Grand Rapids. The recent ordinances implemented under your administration have not only exacerbated the struggles of our houseless community, but have also blatantly infringed upon their constitutional rights. This is not a mere allegation. It is a serious concern backed by statements from the ACLU. Let me remind you that these ordinances have pushed our houseless residents further into the margins, stripping them of their last belongings and dignity. The Grand Rapids Police Department's enforcement of these ordinances has led to numerous instances where basic human rights were disregarded. This is not safety. This is a violation of the very principles our city claims to uphold. The ACLU has clearly stated that such ordinances and their enforcement can violate constitutional rights, including protections against unreasonable searches and seizures and the right to equal treatment under the law. By continuing to enforce these ordinances, the City of Grand Rapids is not only failing our residents, but also risking serious legal repercussions. It is disheartening to observe that while the city proclaims a commitment to safety, it fails to recognize that true safety begins with ensuring basic needs are met. With winter upon us, the lack of action to provide adequate housing is not just a failure of policy, but a failure of morality. We have been down this road before, and it is time to choose a different path, one that truly reflects the values of compassion and justice. We demand an immediate repeal of these ordinances and urge you to refocus your efforts on providing housing to our houseless residents this winter. The safety of our community is measured not by how we treat the most affluent, but by how we care for the most vulnerable. It is a matter of public record, civic responsibility, and most imperative, or a moral imperative. We will not stand idly by while the rights of our fellow residents are trampled upon. The Community-Owned Safety Coalition is committed to ensuring that every voice in Grand Rapids is heard and valued, regardless of housing status or income level. We expect swift and
decisive action from your office, and the eyes of the community and indeed the nation are upon us. And while I have just a few seconds, I do want to also state for the record that Sergeant Darrell Howard has been receiving numerous complaints by people within the city who their rights are being violated by him, and we're going to continue to follow through on those complaints and see that enforcement is placed. So, thank you.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Up there? Yeah.
Hi, my name's Angel Byram. I have a few things to say about the unhoused, the ordinance that was passed. I wouldn't wish homelessness on anybody, especially the young individuals 18 through 25. It's hard getting housing when a lot of the odds are against you, especially the city of Grand Rapids. How do I get back on my feet? How do I work if nobody will hire? They take one look at my filthy clothes and you can't base somebody off of one look, but they do. If you are on state assistance and your money intake will not be enough to cover the rent. Rent is too high, especially for the lower income families or individuals with disabilities to be accepted. The process takes so long. Most can't afford it. So we are thrown on the street. So many people are struggling with addictions, mental health. There must be more program-based housing for these individuals that struggle so they can keep housing and keep on track for success. Social workers are a support person who has been trained in the mental health field and that works with individuals that don't have a home. Before you judge someone for not being able to afford housing or that is on the street, think if you were in that position, you would want help too, right? Let's do better. It takes a nation to change the world, not just one person. As someone who was homeless a few months ago and having my things threatened to be taken, and I simply had a few extra things, it's sad. It might look like crap to you, to the rest of you, but literally my life was in that garbage bag. The little I had to survive, or even the personal items that reminded me that I'm still human. How is the city doing any better? You say you want to help, but you rather help the rich and the middle class. What about the people who have families that are on the street, young teenagers that are addicted to drugs? Because that life isn't fair, and they didn't ask for that. The unhoused in your city, that's why you put the ordinance up, to take someone's blanket in the winter because they have too many is sick. This winter there will be lots of deaths and the blood will be on your hands because you let your pride get in the way rather than face the issues with grace. You turned your faces away, but the problem won't go away until we fix it in a humane way. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hello, my name is Naomi. I am a resident of the First Ward in Grand Rapids, and I would just like to say I agree with everything that the last two people said about the ordinance that was recently passed on homelessness and taking their stuff. Definitely wish you would repeal that, and I hope you work towards that. Anyways, it takes two people on the Board of Commission to pass to get a resolution voted on. So I was hoping that you could vote on two people, hopefully Kelsey Perdue, because I feel like she has a lot of empathy and compassion based on things I've seen online. If you could introduce a resolution for a ceasefire bill so everyone else can vote on it, that'd be amazing. I think, I don't know who else would be willing to vote with her, so you guys could all vote on it. But if that could happen, that'd be great. I have noticed that nobody yet has posted anything on Palestine or in solidarity or even their condolences towards the people dying. And I think that would be even a powerful message, even just a post, just to show your constituents that, you care, because you were asked that at the last meeting. I don't know, just some type of empathy, we want our city. We as our residents want to see that the people we voted in care about humanity. So, yeah, and the last meeting, Yasi said that self-care is really important, and I do agree self-care is important, but self-care is community care. So as a community, we need to come together, because right now, a lot of people are struggling. We can't even afford groceries, some of us. So to say that, it's like really comes from a privileged place in my view. So I just want to say that, yeah, community care, making sure we all are aware of, yes, bad things are happening and we need to speak on it. Terrible atrocities are happening in Palestine. 20,000 people dead. It's unbelievable. And if you guys could just post on it. I know the last meeting, it was also mentioned about the African countries that are struggling from genocide as well. And I think that's a super important point. And the only reason we're talking about it now is because Palestine is in the news. That's what we're talking about, because liberation is tied to other liberation. So the more we work on these issues, the more we speak about Palestine, the more we're going to talk about the genocide in Congo, the resources it takes and the hurt that it brings to the community, trying to get these resources like cobalt. It's definitely important to educate ourselves on this, and as a community here, we can impact the communities everywhere. So even a post on it, and I know Drew Robbins mentioned he listens to a lot of podcasts, so if you could listen to some podcasts on that, that'd be great. Thank you guys so much for listening. Have a good night.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hello, my name is Owen. I'm a student at Grand Valley, and I'm coming again as a member of Students for Justice in Palestine at Grand Valley State University. I came here, like many others, to speak before the commission last time, and this is a second time. So since our last visit, as others have said, the city of Detroit has passed a resolution calling for a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. Now, as the second largest city in the state, it's time for you all to take a stand and be with us in resolve for justice in Palestine. In particular, it is time to condemn the genocide in Gaza being committed by the State of Israel and its occupation forces. New figures released today, a couple hours ago, tell that over 18,000 Palestinians have been murdered by Israel and over 50,000 have been wounded. The tyrant Netanyahu of Israel has been recorded writing that Israelis are quote-unquote children of light and that Palestinians are quote-unquote children of darkness. Now, I don't know to you, but to me, blatant racist rhetoric, it's something in the past you would have seen from the British Empire, Nazi Germany speaking like that about the Jewish people. And in Grand Rapids, that can't stand, and in Detroit, they've already been sensible enough to say it cannot stand. So we do not plea, but we demand that this city commission pass a resolution to end the genocide being committed by the State of Israel against the Palestinians. And until that happens, we'll continue being in the streets marching, and we'll keep showing up to meetings, and we'll continue to rally outside of the houses of cowards like Scholten, like happened last Sunday. And that is all.
Good evening. Before I begin, I would also like to say that I stand with the previous comments about the disgusting actions the city takes towards its unhoused people. I once again come to you as a student at Grand Valley State University and a concerned resident of the greater Grand Rapids area. I am a member of the GVSU Young Democratic Socialists of America and the Students for Justice in Palestine. I come to ask of the City Commission to simply do the bare minimum.
Can you start with your name, please?
Oh, sorry. I'm Jace Perot.
Thanks.
I asked the city to do the bare minimum to stop the genocide taking place in occupied Palestine. The last time I came to speak to you on this matter, your response to all of the people of your city was that there was nothing in your power you could do. The problem with that is that it takes no political power or sway to make a statement calling for a ceasefire, as well as an immediate end of U.S. aid to Israel. As of today, the total number of Palestinians killed in Gaza alone is nearly 20,000, with around 8,000 to 10,000 of them being children. The next time you look your children in the eye, please spare a thought for all those parents in Palestine who never will again. The footage coming out of Gaza and West Bank is enough to send any reasonable human being into either tears or fits of rage. Arguably, the worst part is that we are now becoming desensitized to seeing the lifeless bodies of toddlers in the arms of their grieving parents. Once again, we are not asking you to single-handedly put an end to this genocide. What we are asking of you is to join the people of your city in taking a stand against this massacre, and to call for an end of U.S. aid to the genocidal fascist Israeli government. And if after we are done speaking today, you still decide to stay silent and complicit, I want you to take a look at yourselves and ask why. What exactly does that say about you? Because at this point, the only answer to that question that makes any logical sense is that you think that this genocide should continue. And to the people joining us here today, and anyone who can hear or read what I'm saying, if nothing is done or said by the City Commission, I ask
you to remember that when the next election cycle comes around. And I want you to ask yourself if you want people who supported a genocide to represent you and make decisions on your behalf. To the City Commission, will you continue to be complicit in this genocide and be no better than the Weimar Republic, or will you stand with us and go down in history as those who stood up for humanity when so many others lacked the spine to do so? Free Palestine.
All right, wish to be heard.
Hi, I'm Declan Arthur, a student at GV and here with Students for Justice for Palestine. So, I was gonna say that, like, when you're in a history museum and the Holocaust is brought up, you think, oh, if I was there, I would have stood up against the Nazis. I've thought that too, we all have. So why is it okay to let the media call Palestinians dogs and human waste? Stuff that the Nazis did to the Jews. Why is it okay for Israel, a US-backed superpower, to prevent Palestinians from leaving Gaza and to bomb and kill everyone? According to Webster's dictionary, a concentration camp is a place where a large number of people, such as prisoners of war, political prisoners, refugees, or members of an ethnic group or religious minority, are detained or confined under armed guard. And a death camp is a concentration camp in which a large number of prisoners are systematically killed. Why can't you see? What do you not understand? Do we have to build a Victims of the Invasion of Gaza museum in order for you to see? Think, oh, I wish I could have done something. Like all the others have been saying, you still can. The city of Detroit just called for a ceasefire a week ago. What is your excuse? People's lives are on the line, but you don't seem to care. Because let's be honest, this has nothing to do with anti-Semitism or Judaism. If it was, how come after the Charlottesville rally in 2017, when lines of men and torches were chanting, Jews will not replace us, that nothing was said or done? Why is it only when the state of Israel is involved does anyone mention anti-Semitism? I guess apparently the city of Grand Rapids are only concerned with the Jewish population if it benefits the U.S. I ask you, do you or do you not care about the lives of human beings, or do you only care about Uncle Sam's wallet? I guess that's an answer that you will have to figure out. Before I go, here is a famous poem regarding the Holocaust. At first they came for the communists, and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. Then they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. And then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me.
All right, others wish to be heard?
Hello, my name is Samuel Peterson. I am with GVSU YDSA and Students for Justice in Palestine. And a few weeks ago, when we last came to one of these meetings, several members of the City Commission gave comments in regards to our demands. And first, I'd like to clarify those demands. The first is to pass a purely symbolic resolution for a ceasefire in Gaza. The second is to call on that same resolution for the end of U.S. military aid to Israel. We are not asking for you to change where our tax dollars go. We understand that is outside of your purview. At least me and my colleagues at GVSU have known this. However, the response was, we can't affect where your taxes go. Whether this response was a misinterpretation of our demands, or it was deliberate sophistry in order to distract from the issue at hand, is up to interpretation. We asked the bare minimum from the City Commission. We only wanted all of you to use whatever power you have to call for an end to this genocide. You may not have much power, and that is okay, because it doesn't take much power to pass this resolution. It doesn't take much power to put pressure on the politicians who do actually have a chance to make change. And we, as a body, don't have that line to power that you have. We don't know politicians on a first-name basis. We don't have their contacts in our phone. To put it simply, you have to speak for us if we are going to be heard. Because it has been clear to me that no matter what we say, it will fall on deaf ears. And what else are we supposed to do? So we show up here, and we will continue to show up here until our voices have been heard. And I would also like to speak while I'm up here about a comment made about the genocide happening in the Democratic Republic of Congo. We deeply care about all instances of genocide and all violations of human rights. The reason you haven't heard us talk about it is not because we haven't been talking about it, but because we hadn't yet forced you to listen to us like we are doing now. It is the rapidity and severity of the genocide going on in Gaza that spurred this movement to start coming and talking about it to the City Commission. Not to mention the fact that it's been so heavily covered in the news. However, before this time, we were still talking about genocides going on, specifically in Congo and West Papua and in Cameroon. Anyways, that will be all. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Good evening. My name is Haley, and I'm a student at Grand Valley State University, and I organized with the school's newly found chapter of Students for Justice in Palestine. I'm here in solidarity with those speaking about Palestine and urging the city of Grand Rapids to condemn the occupation and genocide being carried out by the State of Israel through the passing of a resolution that supports Palestinians' liberation. On November 21st, the Detroit City Council passed a resolution supporting a ceasefire in Gaza and the passage of humanitarian aid into the region. According to the Detroit News, Detroit City Council members agreed that no human should be deprived of water, food, healthcare, medical supplies, and energy. I stand before you tonight asking why our city government is not standing alongside Detroit in denouncing Israel's war crimes. Michigan's largest city has come forward to condemn the apartheid state, yet Grand Rapids, the second most populous city in Michigan, has not followed suit. Another day without a resolution passed is a day complicit in the ethnic cleansing of Palestine's men, women, and children, of which are 50% of Gaza's population. Therefore, I urge the city of Grand Rapids to pass a resolution that condemns the atrocities that Israel has committed in Palestine and fights for the lives of Palestinians who are indigenous to their land. By passing a resolution, the city government would be sending a message to governments across the country and the world that the people demand an end to Israel's settler colonialist occupation that has claimed the lives of over 18,000 since October 7th alone. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hello, Mayor Bliss, Commissioners. My name is Rachel, lifelong resident of Grand Rapids. I was born at Blodgett Hospital 36 years ago. I'm a graduate from the doctoral program at Grand Valley State University, and I work in healthcare. And I consider myself very privileged to be able to travel safely from home to see my patients. There's a lot of things that I really love about this city. And when I hear things about an amphitheater being built and soccer fields, all of that seems kind of unimportant when you consider the atrocities being committed overseas right now. I am here to add my voice to those who don't have a voice, to those whose voices are being taken from them. You are our voice, as so many others here have said, and you'll notice there's a very large crowd of relatively young people here speaking on behalf of the Palestinian people, pleading for a ceasefire. There's a lot of politics surrounding this situation, right? A lot of history, a lot of stuff that most of us can't barely scratch the surface on. But what is happening right now is not a political issue. We are demanding a ceasefire, an end to the violence. We don't need to understand every other detail that's going into it to demand right now that they stop killing. You are our voices. Please use them. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hello, my name is Noah. I live here in Grand Rapids. I'm here for the same reason as my previous people who came up here. I'm asking that you all pass an immediate resolution demanding a ceasefire in Gaza. Now, the amount of cruelty and the extent of the cruelty that we've witnessed only online, we haven't even seen the full extent, because over 90% of the posts made about Palestine that are pro-Palestine are ordered to be removed by Israel. So we don't even know the full extent. But from what we've seen, the extents of cruelty that are taking place and that have already taken place is disgusting, it's sickening, it's vile. Words can't even describe. Now, I don't just speak on my own behalf, I speak on the behalf of all the Muslims around the world. We stand against this, but not just us, humans. People who have taken a look within their own hearts and access their own empathy, which you all need to do the same. Take a look within your own hearts. I'm not even asking you to look at the photos and the videos of what's taking place. Look within yourselves, and you'll see that what is happening is wrong. It's not just wrong, it's evil. It's completely evil. Now, nobody is saying that you all have the power to single-handedly end this, but you can make your stance clear, and you can side with humanity, and you can side with what's right. Now, it's just wrong, everything that's going on, and the fact that we had people come here last month demanding the same exact thing, and it was dismissed as some sort of federal issue to where you guys couldn't even take a stance when we've already got cities like Detroit that are much bigger than Grand Rapids that have made their stance clear and have already passed these sort of resolutions. That's nothing but a cheap excuse, and it's not acceptable. Nothing will be acceptable except such a resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hello, my name's Martha Cooper. I live in the 2nd Ward. I came up here to talk again about homelessness in our city in December, and it hasn't even started to get that cold yet. However, I'm also standing here to echo my approval for what they're saying to you about a resolution to ask for a ceasefire. I'm really tired of you guys sitting up there and acting powerless, because that is something you can do. If you actually knew anything about the history of Palestine and the area, you would know that when Israel was created, Palestine was already occupied by colonialism, and that they gave away land that was not theirs to give in the first place. So I don't know who is controlling this commission. I see a whole lot of it. It's very obvious that money talks, and homeless people got to keep walking because they can't sit down anywhere, and they can't get a place to rest. And they'll have their tents taken away and be told that their tent, if it's wet, is contaminated. I want to say, what is that contamination? It's all these things that you say that aren't true, but that you can use to infringe on people's civil rights. I don't stand, as much as I would love to go back to being in love with my country, I don't stand during the Pledge of Allegiance because I cannot see any liberty and justice going on. I'm talking about a man is up here asking for equity. Well, the more of the homeless are black than there are white, and I'm not talking about one person over another. I'm talking about standing up for what is right. So I'm going to just echo that you can indeed and should. Our nation was the only one that didn't sign on to the UN resolution, and I, in my name, are wrong to be that way, and you can do this. It is not that big of an ask, unless you have friends that would be very dismayed about that. And I don't know who those people are, but they're running this place, and we are not. You don't listen to us. We spoke against the resolution against the homelessness. That resolution is basically, the ordinance is unenforced evenly. I don't think that's how we should do business. I'm so upset, and I feel like I've been coming up here forever asking you guys to find a solution. Mark Washington, it is imperative upon you and all of you people that care about running this city that people from 0 to 30% of AMI get some housing. And other cities are doing things. They're building 8 by 10 sheds for people to be in so they don't freeze to death. And when they die, it's
okay, Martha, your time's up.
On you,
Thanks.
Ms. Bliss, with your lack of leadership.
Okay, thanks. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hi, my name is B. I live in the 2nd Ward. Sorry if my voice is a little shot. I lost it yesterday trying to drown out the voice of violent Zionists that your police department supports and protects. I come to you today as an activist and an artist within the community. Grand Rapids loves to tout itself as a haven for artists, and although you continue to show us every single year that you only see the artists here as part of a larger tourist attraction, we make up an ever-growing number of the people you represent. Whether you like it or not, the artists of the city are diverse, loving, revolutionary people who care deeply about our world being a peaceful place for all. All we are asking is that you participate in the simple task of joining cities within our own state, Dearborn, Dearborn Heights, Detroit, Ypsilanti, and all those cities nationwide who have passed Palestine solidarity resolutions, making a public statement calling for a permanent ceasefire in Gaza and an end to U.S. aid in Israel would take virtually zero effort from any of you. And as we learned at last month's meeting, you all excel at putting in zero effort. It should make you all sick that our state government approves of the federal government using our tax dollars to fund a literal genocide. The bodies of Palestinian children are being carried around in grocery bags, and our taxes paid for the weapons used to eviscerate them. But I don't know why I'd expect any of this to sway your opinions when you continually show your approval of the ongoing racism, police brutality, criminalization of our houseless community, and all-around fascism that runs rampant within our own city. Our deeply, deeply sick society cannot begin to grow past the smaller problems that exist on a local scale if our representatives are too afraid and too pathetic to disrupt the status quo by calling out larger injustices abroad and within our own country. Free Palestine and ceasefire now.
Hello. Welcome. My name's Taya Leach, and I've been a Grand Rapids resident for the last 6 years. I am here on behalf of the citizens of Grand Rapids to tell you to make a stance on the Palestinian genocide, to end the occupation, and to cease funding to Israel. We live in a country based out of freedom to speak our mind, but I don't feel like the mass majority of the citizens' voices are being heard. The government is profiting from the poor staying poor. All of the country who doesn't benefit from the government's dollars, such as yourselves, are screaming from the top of their lungs to cease fire, but that doesn't matter to the government because profit has always taken a grander importance over the people's lives. We keep people in prison so the states, a non-entity, can make more money. For liberty and justice for all. There hasn't been any equal justice or liberty in this country since it was established. Just as they're trying to do in Palestine, we are living on stolen land. I demand that we face the facts of our history and correct and put on an end to our cycles. For heaven's sakes, the technology to have renewable resources power everything in our world has been created, yet we are killing innocent people overseas, a land that we do not have the right to occupy, to obtain non-renewable resources that have been killing our planet. To continue this genocide is to continue putting profits over people. In the end, what does money even matter when there's not a soul left to spend it? I demand that we end the occupation, and I demand we end the genocide. I demand that we cease fire now. Thank you. Free Palestine.
All right, thank you. Others wish to be heard?
Good evening. My name is Amy Brock. I vote in 49548 zip code. I find it ironic that we live in a city of the size that has the most churches per capita of any city our size in the whole country. When I hear a comment of mixing of church and state, I think to myself, well, if we're going to mix church and state, then why don't we use more morality in our decisions then? And I hear the comments about Palestine, and it literally breaks my heart. And then I'm here to actually discuss the ordinances, the inconsistent ordinance on the loitering and the nuisance laws myself. But Sunday I went with an organization called Derek's Place, and we made 100 meals, and we met with our homeless neighbors right here in the downtown area. We went from place to place to place to find them, and we passed out hygiene products and meals, and they begged us for tents, for blankets. We gave them as many things as we could. And I challenge any of you, I will go with you, to spend a night in the cold. Let's do it in January. And let's see what our homeless neighbors deal with, just for one night, any of you. And let's see if we talk about their addictions, their mental health, which all those facilities are full. Our shelters are full. Our mental health facilities are full. Good luck getting a psychiatrist. Good luck getting a therapist. Call, try to call. Pretend like you're a client. I called. You have to call about 10, and then you wait. They are waiting. You wonder why they're getting these issues. I talk to them. They're begging for help. The jobs they get cannot afford the housing that is being built. So anyway, we are in a crisis. They are humane. We have the most churches of any city our size. Where is our humanity? So I'm begging you to care about our citizens. I am a graduate of a rehab. I am a certified teacher. I have 2 master's degrees. And I am a success story. We do succeed. We have potential. See the potential in all people, in humanity. Anyway, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hi. Hi, good evening. My name is Danny Zelaya from the 1st District, the 1st Ward. And I'm speaking today in solidarity with, and calling for a resolution in solidarity with Palestine. Just like Detroit, Ypsilanti, Dearborn, and many other Michigan cities have done, and as many have mentioned, 2 of those cities, Dearborn and Dearborn Heights, passed a similar resolution that same night, a month ago when I last spoke. And when I last spoke, many of the commissioners said that this was beyond the scope of a city, yet the city commissioners in Dearborn and Dearborn Heights said that no, that they will not remain silent in the face of a genocide. Our federal lawmakers continue to ignore the calls to end this violence. 80% of Democrats, even 56% of Republicans are in agreement that our money should be spent here in our local communities, not be spent on an ethnic cleansing overseas, especially when it's affecting kids the most. Yet despite this popular support, our federal lawmakers continue to ignore the people. So when the main decision makers don't listen to the people, we rely on you to be our voice, especially when those most affected are scared to speak up, because what folks say here can be used against them in Palestine. People can even get blacklisted and never be able to visit their family again. And that is why though some of them are choosing not to speak up because they have that fear of running that risk. Now I'm a Mexican immigrant, and I'm here in solidarity because I remember what it was like to be in that spot when folks first began to rally for the immigrant community. When I first shared my own experience, I was scared. I was worried about my safety, but more so worried about the safety of my own family. And to be honest, I still run that risk. But I'd rather run that risk and face whatever may happen because I won't be silent, and I choose not to be silent in this moment. Because perhaps not to the same extent, but I know what it's like to be separated from your family, to not be able to see them for years and have a border wall separate us, to be treated like a second-class citizen in a place you call home, and I can't even use that term citizen. Yet I don't let fear or repercussions keep me silent, so what is your excuse? So again, I repeat my ask of the Commission to pass a resolution in solidarity with Palestine that calls on our federal delegation to stop funding this genocide, just like Detroit has done, just like Ypsilanti has done, just like how many other Michigan cities have done. Grand Rapids must not remain silent. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hello again. My name is Sarah. I'm a Palestinian American who works and lives in Grand Rapids. I'm here again after a long work day, coming to tell you that I am not okay with my tax dollars funding this genocide. And I want to see Grand Rapids follow in the footsteps of cities like Dearborn, Detroit, Ypsilanti, and Hamtramck that have issued city resolutions in solidarity with Palestine and calling on our federal lawmakers to stop using our tax dollars to perpetuate this violence. Every day, I am forced to watch through a screen a constant barrage of bombings, murders, torture, and humiliation of my people. I am sick and tired of going to work and just existing every day, knowing that each paycheck and each purchase is funding this horrifying, disgusting reality. In an extreme capitalist society like America, which I'm sure you all know well, you can't go very long without making a purchase. Just ask the unhoused populations just trying to survive, but getting harassed by the police and having bills signed deliberately harming them instead. The humanitarian crisis in Gaza has reached catastrophic proportions, and the situation is deteriorating by the minute as fuel, water, food, and life-saving medical supplies run out. The health system is in a state of total collapse with 2/3 of hospitals in Gaza now completely out of action and the rest struggling to keep functioning. And U.S. funding is allowing all of this. How can you sit here and listen to your constituents constantly telling you that we are against this and not be burning to advocate for your people or for humanity? How did you get so far from what drew you to this role in the first place? Was the goal to represent your people, or was it always for self-fulfillment? You either need to fess up and say that representing your people was never your goal, or that you were corrupted and lost empathy, because either way, not advocating against a genocide for 66 days when everyone is just telling you to listen is absolutely unforgivable. Our city must not remain silent in this moment. I'm not proud to be an American. Every single day I watch these atrocities unleash and become sick to my stomach that I indirectly contributed to this. There's no amount of self-care that will make me feel okay about this. No Palestinian has felt the same since October 7th, the most resilient, compassionate, and hopeful people I have ever met. We are all hurting for Gaza, for the now orphans and the murders of so many children, for our homes, for our beautiful olive trees being destroyed, for everything. It is embarrassing that I have to sit here and beg you to take a stance.
All right, others wish to be heard?
My name is Lena. I'm a 6-year resident of Grand Rapids, recently just bought my first home in the 3rd Ward. I'd like to start my time by sharing with all of you that the United Nations General Assembly has overwhelmingly passed a resolution calling for a ceasefire in Palestine. Now, I'm from a much smaller town in Michigan originally, and though Grand Rapids is big in comparison, we can still feel sometimes quite small here. I can tell so far from sitting in on this meeting that at least exceedingly, we seem excited about a soccer stadium and amphitheater. I read all the time, there are news articles about celebrities visiting us or stopping in at a restaurant in Grand Rapids. So I can see that we sometimes feel a little bit small. Especially compared to the UN, we can probably feel a bit small. However, we cannot shrink ourselves in the realm of our responsibilities. Consider the words of Susan Sontag. The likelihood that your acts of resistance cannot stop the injustice does not exempt you from acting in what you sincerely and reflectively hold to be the best interests of your community. Pass a resolution to call for ceasefire. Keep your constituents' money here instead of in foreign hands who use it to fund a genocide. Your silence is violence. Have a backbone. Do your part. Free Palestine.
Free Palestine. All right. Thank you. Others wish to be heard?
My name is Donnie, and I'm a Grand Rapids Rapidian activist, local organizer. I stand in solidarity with my Palestinian brothers and sisters on demanding a resolution for a ceasefire. I can't even get to my feelings on the ceasefire until I explain to you my feelings about our unhoused population and the ordinance that was passed. We came here in abundance, just like the crowd that you see, with a line of people speaking for other people. Let me repeat myself. Speaking for other people that you probably wouldn't let through the door downstairs because you think they're too dirty. Y'all should make this more accessible. So seeing as how the city commission gets $500,000 each fiscal year budget in order to care for our in-house population. Where does that money go? Into anti-homeless structures. You do it to reprimand the people who are living on the streets instead of care for them. Just like the lady that came up here and talked about mental health and addiction and all the other awarenesses that on the very reasons why people live on the streets. You're not ready to speak on those, but you're ready to speak on the reasons why and what they're doing outside. You want to call them dirty. You want to have businesses come up here and complain at the fact that they're urinating and defecating on the streets rather than give them a damn bathroom. A bathroom. More bathrooms. There's 2 bathrooms. 2 bathrooms downtown that people can use. 2. How many bars are downtown? Right. Give them a bathroom, make it more sanitary to be outside. Make it more possible to be outside. You say that they can be at Hartside and they can be at Hartside Park. And I mean by they are unhoused populations. The people who live outside can be at Hartside Park, but yet you want to send the hot team, AKA GRPD, these people who come there and throw away their things. They throw away their things before the ordinance even was in effect. Like I said, we came here beforehand, prior to the ordinance being in effect, and a bunch of you said that it was disgusting. John O'Connor, you said it was disgusting. Where were you on it? You're not showing up for people who live outside? Yeah, because you got a big-ass house. Where were you on it, Anita Hitchcock? Where were you on it, Mayor Bliss? Oh, you're waiting on the back. There's kids dying overseas, but you're on the back of a convertible at the children's parade waving. Because you don't care. Because none of you care. You don't care about humanity. Justice for Patrick Lyoya, free Palestine.
All right, others wish to be heard?
Good evening. My name is Emily Clark. I'm a Grand Rapids resident of the 1st Ward. I'm here to echo the call made by so many in this room for you all to pass a resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. I know in the last meeting you said this wasn't necessarily in your purview and there was nothing you could do. Well, more than a dozen U.S. cities have indeed found it within their purview and have passed similar resolutions, including here in Michigan, Dearborn Heights, Detroit, Hamtramck, Ypsilanti, and potential resolutions in Ann Arbor and Kalamazoo. I'm asking you to follow these bold steps taken by other Michigan cities. I admit local resolutions on international affairs are largely symbolic gestures and don't play a role in foreign policy making. They do, however, convey a strong message to our representatives, senators, and Joe Biden himself that there is a groundswell of support for a ceasefire. Take note of the numbers and the passion of the residents in Grand Rapids and take the simple step of calling for a ceasefire. Thank you, and free Palestine.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hi, my name is Sarah Sterenberg, and I'm a resident of Grand Rapids. I spent a few summers working with organizations in Israel and Palestine, and the things that I saw there, the consequences of the occupation still haunt me to this day. The trauma that children experience in Palestine is so large. And I feel like as a community, our biggest priority should always be the protection of children. And so I'm here to lend my voice asking that a resolution be passed for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. If I am not powerless, and I'm here speaking in front of you, then you certainly are not powerless either. And so many people want this, it's important, and I will plead with you to do something about it. Words matter. If words are all you got, then give us that. Please do what you can. And if you can't do anything, then figure out a way to change it so you can. I'm not sure what leadership is if it's not good for a time like this. This is the time to be a leader. And so I'm asking that you pass a resolution for an immediate ceasefire. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, others wish to be heard?
Brandon Bilski, Grand Rapids native. I am haven't been here in a while. I definitely lost not confidence, because it's not that I really thought that this body would move or just to consider the ordinances in the middle of this year after last year condemning them so blatantly when we didn't need laws. But what you showed is a complete disregard for people and humanity. The houselessness, the homeless crisis was put before your eyes, and you said, let's move their stuff off the street. Not let's invest properly, but you can afford soccer stadiums, and you have sister cities that you claim this diversity. Well, it is a show, it is optics, and it is a pure performance that you demonstrate today with the lack of humanity. MLK says, a threat to justice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And that groundswell of support of all these other cities that are calling out a genocide. I don't want to give you anger. I don't want to give you pain. But I'm speaking for people who are no longer with us. I could say names for my entire time up here. We could say all the names, but even us all here could not say all the names. We could not say children, over 5,000. And do we need to do I need to go there? Silence in the time of oppression is to err on the side of the oppressor, and it has been said in at least 15 ways tonight that last time they came up here and all they wanted you to do was to stand in the solidarity with humanity, but you stood in solidarity with money and profit and greed and everything that is wrong with humanity in the same way you do here in this city, hurting the unhoused, hurting immigrants, hurting minorities, hurting yourselves and your own personal souls. For you in this leadership role, this is your responsibility. These statements are your public space and ours too. And when you say it means nothing, what does that do for us? We get 3 minutes. You get as much time as you want, and you picked none of it. Genocide. Captain America punches Nazis. You give them all our money. Captain America punches Nazis, but you stay silent as children are being slaughtered, as lead is infecting them here, more cases than in Flint. Restorative justice would be giving the land back, healing, putting money towards people and not profit.
All right, others wish to be heard?
Daniel Scott once again. I had the privilege over 50 years ago to spend a month near the Gaza Strip. And I can assure you, I love Palestinians and I love Jewish people. I try to love everyone. Not so much as the Lord Jesus Christ himself, who died on the cross for Palestinians, Jews, everyone else, so that they could have eternal life. I've heard these words on November 14 meeting, and I've heard the words tonight. Genocide, murder against women and children, beheading of babies. Well, this is what abortion is. Exactly. Praise the Lord for 320 East Fulton being closed down, where that one man murdered 55,000 babies since 1987 until August. We have work to do yet because Corewell Health has proclaimed that they're going to take up the slack. They're inviting now women to come to their place, a hospital that just is less than 2 or 3 blocks from here. I thought hospitals were supposed to save life, but now they're advertising for women that used to go to 320 or would have gone to 320 East Fulton to come there. If anyone wishes to see a video of a baby being murdered through abortion, I have one on my phone. We've heard a lot about videos tonight. I can show you the gruesome acts that took place at 320 East Fulton and are now taking place at Corwell Health. And also the murder pill being dispensed at 425 East Cherry through Planned Genocide, otherwise known as Planned Parenthood. I'm sorry to announce, if you haven't heard, that our Val Moldick party in Lansing has pushed through this new legislation, removing years of safeguards against these murder factories. Just one illustration. Now these places do not have to have a certain width in their places to where EMT units can come freely in and fast in to save lives that might be in danger of dying. Our governor said no, that's being too restrictive, so don't tell me she cares for women. They've restricted those, or lifted those restrictions, and no care about the dispensing of the murdered babies. That's genocide.
Mark Beck. The woman who was from Texas, who was pregnant, had only two choices. Either she had to abort the baby because of her health issues, or die while pregnant. Again, if you're pro-life, you gotta be pro-life all the way, not just whatever you damn well choose to do. But that's enough about that. Well, a year is about to come to an end, and I'd like to say that it's been very interesting, to say the least. And I hope every one of us here in the city of Grand Rapids, the activists, the sure supporters, even the followers of the Lord Jesus Christ, I wish all y'all a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and let's have 2024 be more healthy and more happy, and let's don't forget, this is also a critical time. If you people don't like what you see, again, register to vote. Because that's the only way you're going to affect change. Because if not, it could be worse come Election Day in November. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hello, my name is Jillian Kaminsky, and I wasn't sure if I was going to speak to you tonight. I am here on behalf of the Palestinian people that are dying, and we are funding it as a country, and that is not what I signed up for my tax dollars to fund, and it is my obligation to speak. I know you've heard a lot of the same things, and I will not take up any more of your time with statistics, because it is not statistics that matter. I wasn't sure if I was going to speak because a lot of these people have spoken what my same requests for you to stand. But it is my obligation to speak as it is yours to speak. I live in a rural area. I'm from Alto, so I am not a Grand Rapids resident, but Grand Rapids speaks for me. I live in such a rural area that my progressive beliefs are villainized, and my representatives don't represent me. And I look to Grand Rapids in its artistry and its progressivity to help me be my voice. I am surrounded by pro-life Christians who, so far, have not proven that they are pro-life because they are watching people die, and they are either silent about it or actively in favor of it. My Representative John Molinar, has emailed me countless times telling me that it is a good thing that Israel is killing people. Just some paraphrasing his words. Obviously, he's a politician. He's not going to say that outright. But I am trying every day not to be hopelessly angry and sad, and I cry, and I need my representatives to be my voice. I need representatives in politics and people who have power. I am just myself. I am obligated to speak with you here today, and I implore you to use your obligation and your power to even symbolically help sway our government from committing these atrocities in our names. Thank you, and ceasefire now.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hello, Shannon Tanis from the First Ward. I would like to first start off by acknowledging the documenter, Ben, that's in documenting tonight. I am also a documenter covered by my First Amendment free speech. And the last meeting that I came to was October 31st, which was the workshop. And there was not a formal motion done by you, Mayor, or anyone else on the board for Commissioner Mooney to be excused, even though it was mentioned at the time, but it wasn't formally done. So when we see our public body not doing proper procedure by the Roberts rules, who takes up those issues? Is it the executive office? Or do we need a new ordinance to hold our public bodies accountable in their private capacity for those violations? Is there another aspect of the Civil Service Board that needs to have a educational civic training for those who want to be in an elected or appointed position of a board or body so that they are fully vetted and trained and aware of how to do Robert's rules and formal procedures? At that same meeting, I was recording before the meeting had started and witnessed the fact that you had mentioned to the clerk about a female that you thought was a stalker because she had been coming by your house. And my first concern, because of the fact your hand, your wrist, or something was injured at the time, is your safety. Do we need to elevate security for you, or is that a concern right now? That's my first priority. Second is maybe not make comments like that before official meetings or within the public. Refrain from that. And also about the new ordinances. The hall out there is meant to congregate and talk without disrupting in here. And I was talking to the chief, and he says there's been no arrest. So I mentioned that to Ben, and I mention that now so that everyone can be aware that no arrests over the new ordinances have been committed on the homeless. So I'm very grateful to hear that. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your comments. All right, with that, I will close that public comment period, and I will turn to my colleagues, and I'll start down here with Commissioner Perdue.
Good evening, everyone. Wow, it is the end of the year. I almost forgot. So thanks for that reminder. It has been an interesting year. Thank you to a few of you who shared those reflections. We've been doing a little bit of that over the last month or so. I think as a body, kind of looking back and talking about things that we've done, and certainly I have as a freshman member, getting ready to go into my sophomore year. Just wanted to acknowledge that and thank you for the acknowledgement of a lot of the hard work and the changes and the improvements and the focus and the progress that has been made this year. We heard some concerns about some of the actions taken over the course of this year. I think we were scheduled to get an update on the implementation of that ordinance. I can't forget the exact date. Yeah, we did recently. And I think we talked about some of the capacity issues at the shelters and some of the staffing issues driving those. But I want to thank those who came today to share their stories or to share the stories of others on what they've been experiencing, to continue to collect those stories. The more specific, the better, to help our team, our staff respond, to understand and to respond appropriately. And where it makes sense, please, I would love some line of sight into that. Some of you might remember that I had some concerns when that vote came up. And so I want to make sure that as implementation rolls out, that we can have line of sight awareness and be responsive to how those ordinances are being implemented. I also want to kind of in that same vein, some folks brought some materials kind of summarizing some of their comments, and just want to say that often that can be helpful because we hear a lot, and I take pages and pages worth of notes. But just want to thank you for your thoughtfulness and your preparation, particularly when you have leave behinds to help us kind of reference back as we have conversations after the meeting and inquire about follow-ups, inquire about what we heard, which are things that many of us do after we hear directly from you. So obviously tonight we heard a lot. I wasn't here last month. I had a scheduled absence. And I'm thankful for the opportunity to hear directly from many of you today about what's happening in the world. I am saddened by violence, injustice, unchecked greed, extreme capitalism that happens all across our world. And even last year, as our community called for justice for Patrick, that he was a Congolese refugee, came up time and time again. And I thought, what is happening in the Congo? And I went back and I looked and I thought, wow, why aren't we having this conversation? And I know why. We had a lot of other conversations at the time. But we do have a lot of folks in our community who are fleeing war, who are fleeing humanitarian crisis, and it truly is a crisis. And I'm saddened by that. I'm enraged by that. I see my role here as thinking about my circle of influence, and a lot of that is within the city boundaries because of how this role is structured. So I think about the change and the influence that I can make and that this body can make together. I am not always super interested in symbolic gestures and optics. I'm interested in the impact. I'm interested in what difference will this actually make. And so over the last month or so, I have been thinking about what difference could a symbolic statement on world affairs and violence and murders, what could that mean? Might it mean something? Might it add to kind of a general movement of calling attention to things that need attention and helping to influence change at some point? So with that being said, if there is something that this additional, in addition to the many things that this body is doing here locally and doing with our state and federal officials, if there's something additional that we can do, and if there is something that the rest of this body is willing to do, I would join that effort. I am not an expert in international affairs, but I do know that a lot of what is happening around the world is wrong. I mentioned a few, the murders, the killings, the medical emergencies, the predatory and extractive labor practices that are happening around the world, the humanitarian crisis. If there are enough other people on this body who are willing, I will be willing to make a statement or a resolution against that. Lastly, some folks mentioned art. And we had a presentation a few weeks ago about art in our city. And we talked about it being an economic driver, it driving placemaking, visitors, but we also talked about the role of art and artists in social change. And so that came up tonight, and so I want to thank you for continuing to make those connections, and I hope that this body will find ways to continue to invest in artists and local movements to support truly impactful, sustainable social change. It is the end of the year. Thank you all for your engagement. I know it is not always convenient to engage in this way, and it is a lot to take on these issues. And this body, anytime something happens, big or small, here or elsewhere, it has to keep going. And this year we kept going and we kept going. And I'm thankful for so many people, both in City Hall, in community, that really care about this city and that show up and do their part. A lot of times unseen, a lot of times unheard, but it's part of making this city great. And it's been such a pleasure to work with you all these first 12 months of my term here. So with that, Happy New Year to you all. I think we'll see you again officially in January. And just thank you again.
Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Isasi.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I think lots of different things that happened today. This is the end of your first year. This is the end of my initial 4 years that I was elected to, and so reflecting on the many evenings that we spent listening to people, I think. I've said it before, I'll happily sit here and listen to individuals. It is hard, especially I see people come and then, they share some thoughts and people have to leave or they have to go to the next thing or maybe they have to go to work. And so this is not always the most conducive. So I'll remind everybody in 2024, we'll have community nights out again, which is a great way, is not the only way, but is another way to be able to have one-to-one or group conversations with another. And I'm really proud to say that out of those 4 years, I missed one meeting, which was a very infamous meeting. I'm still mad that I missed that meeting. Lucas, good to see you here tonight. A little bit of levity for the end of the 4 years, but I think it's important to sit here and to listen. And I know sometimes there's comments about what we're looking at or how we're taking notes or not taking notes. I really try to pay attention and listen and remember what individuals say. And so I'm grateful for these last 4 years. I'll be grateful for the next bonus year and, what holds in the future. So there were a number of things that we talked about today, catalytic economic development projects, but we also had some updates around public safety and talking about different pieces, particularly around our FOIA process, which I think is an important element to our public safety system to make sure people have information in a timely, responsive way. So thank you to city manager and the police department for hearing some of those calls of how we can make some processes better. So I was happy to see that as the end of the year comes up. My colleague, Commissioner Knight, is not here, but I just wanted to thank her. We were new colleagues this year, and I appreciated the partnership and appreciated working with all Commissioner Robbins and Commissioner Perdue, as well as everyone else. This was a different year, I often say, than planned, but I think it was a good year. It was a full year, and we'll have different opportunities and challenges next year. One, I want to say if anyone feels like I minimized their feelings coming up here in November at the last meeting, that was never my intent. So we think a lot about what is our intent and what is the impact. If that was the impact to anyone feeling, things that I made comments about, I just felt it was important to make a comment. Quite honestly, I think sometimes we cannot say anything. And for me, that just never feels comfortable. And so if that felt minimizing, I apologize. But what I want to say is that oftentimes being clear is to be kind. And so I guess I want to be a little bit more clear this evening. I agree, Commissioner Knight, what's happening around this world, not only in Gaza, is horrible. there's also a lot of things happening in our own country that give me great pause every single day. Things that we've talked about on this dais, child labor, the immigration crisis, all of these pieces. It can feel very overwhelming and sometimes can feel like it's a little bit of oppression Olympics, which I don't think is anyone's intent. But I would like to say that I don't think that, at least I don't feel I said that this is not something we could do and was outside of our power. I believe that I explained that what I believe my role to be, which I do believe is to be focused on local Grand Rapids issues that impact particularly the ward that I serve, the 2nd Ward, and to work collectively with my colleagues on those items related to land use and zoning and issues around economic development as it relates to businesses. And catalytic projects like that today are part of that work when we think about, at least for me, how a city is funded and how do we sustain in the future. So for me, I can comfortably say I would not be signing on for a resolution. I want to be very clear this evening because I also think it takes a lot of time and energy for people to come into this meeting and what is there to expect or to know. And so I do believe to be clear is to be kind, to let people know what my intentions are, what I feel is in my purview, what I believe is in the purview of this body. Certainly know I think many of us stay abreast of what's happening in cities across this state, certainly cities across this country. I also believe that every city is designed differently, and it is up to our jurisdiction and our purview of the things that we take up. That is my personal interpretation, and I'd like to be very much more direct this evening with those that have spent the time and energy coming out tonight. So I wish you all a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Feliz Navidad, and a wonderful New Year, and I look forward to seeing all of you up here and those that come out in 2024. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner O'Connor? Commissioner Robbins?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Good evening, everybody. I also just wanted to reiterate a couple of things that I had mentioned a few weeks back. First and foremost, I also know and understand that the world can sometimes be a dark and unsettling and scary place with much of what we see on TV and on social media. But secondly, I think in line with what my colleague just mentioned, I think I believe in the separation of powers as it comes to different levels of government and their varying levels of purview. I think that's a very important aspect of how democracy and how good governance works. So that said, I also would not be in true candor supportive of signing a resolution that has anything to do with an event that's on a global scale far outside of what my day-to-day role is and of the oath that I took to uphold the city's charter. So again, I understand that that's probably not the response or outcome that many of you are hoping to hear, but I do want to also reiterate that I'm committed to making this city the best city in the country. I've always said that. I want any single person who moves here to feel welcome, to feel heard, and to feel safe. So that's my commitment now, and that's what my commitment will be as long as I serve on this body. So with that said, enjoy this holiday season. Super grateful for the hard work that many people have put in on the city staff and the rest of this body here. So we've done a lot of cool things. We've got some problems still ahead to solve and figure out, but I'm really hopeful that we'll see much of the same progress we saw this year in 2024. So have a good night.
Thank you, Commissioner. City Clerk.
I kind of joke that I'm way past 2023 and fully pulled into 2024 as we prepare for elections, as I've said over the last bit. Just some upcoming election type business for those of you that are on the permanent absentee application list. Those will be going out here in the starting as soon as the printer mails them. So this should go out in the mail in the next week or so. For those that are on the permanent ballot list, because this is a presidential preference primary, you need to select which party ballot you want. So you'll be getting a mailing that will ask for that presidential preference in order for that ballot to be mailed. So there'll be more stuff coming out on social media and other communications on details of early voting and as we go over next week, and looking forward to all the adventures in 2024.
Thank you. City Attorney? City Manager? All right. Well, then I will end with a few remarks. So I really appreciate everyone coming out tonight and sharing your perspective and your your pain and your heart with us. And I'll just add a few things. So for as long as I've served around this table, which is going on 18 years, this commission, unlike other communities, we do not have the practice of passing resolutions or symbolic resolutions on issues that are outside of our purview. That's not been our practice. It was actually started under several of my predecessors. And the reason for that is exactly what Commissioner Perdue said, that we find that they don't have a significant impact. And we want to make sure that we are spending our time and energy doing what we need to do to have an impact on issues here in our city. It does not mean, because we don't pass symbolic resolutions, that we don't care about issues, or that our heart doesn't break every time we turn on the TV or see what's happening in other parts of the world, or when we see children dying and innocent lives lost. It doesn't mean we don't care. There are many issues that every single one of us around this table care deeply about that are outside the city of Grand Rapids, that are happening outside of our community, outside of our state. But we don't pass resolutions, and we don't have those issues come to this table because our priorities are focused on the city and what we have under our authority and what we can actually impact. But I want to be clear, it's not that we don't care, it's not that we don't feel pain, that we don't ache and our hearts don't ache, but we also have a responsibility to focus on issues that are here in our city. And that's why we've done a lot of work, whether it's around our human rights ordinance. We want everyone in this city, regardless of their race or their gender or sexual orientation, to be safe in our community, to be able to come in and share their thoughts and their opinions safely. And then we also want to make sure that we're working on other issues that many of you talked about tonight around housing and homelessness and public safety. And those are the issues that we are spending our time on, that we need to make sure that Grand Rapids is a good place for people and that they can have a roof over their head. So in the spirit of the holidays, I'm also going to give gratitude to everyone who works within the city, but also all of our partners who continue to work on difficult issues. None of these issues are easy. And then also I know around the holidays aren't a great time for everyone. And a lot of people struggle for a whole host of reasons. And so I'm going to wish people a happy holiday, but also recognize that they're not happy for everyone. And for those who struggle, I really hope that they reach out for help. There's a lot of resources in this community, and I hope people utilize those. So with that, this meeting's adjourned.